let me tell you something, uneducated fool.
So guys, John Claymore here, and this right here is a follow-up to my previous video that I did on the Canadian trucker protest of the Freedom Convoy. Now, before I really dive into this, I need to go ahead and let you guys know right away. I would like you guys to try to stick around for the entire video. The reason why is because I got a few channel updates that I'm going to be kind of explaining towards the end of the video. I'm going to try to make this video about as short and sweet as I can, even though there's a lot to dive into here. But let me just go ahead and start by saying that it looks like this Freedom Convoy is continuing to work. So far, provinces in Canada are starting to drop their mask mandates like I felt they would. The protest continues to go on as long as it does. And of course, right now, even though Trudeau is beginning to enact the emergency powers, right now he's got about 4 or 5 provinces that are saying no to that. They're telling him no, and I'll explain the reason why they're telling him no right here in a second. But before we dive into this, guys, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button for the algorithm so that way the video will take off. You guys can follow me on Facebook. My Facebook page is up. I'll start reposting content to the page tomorrow. I meant to do it today, which of course today is Monday. This video will be on Tuesday. I meant to do it today, but things sort of happened. But it actually turned out to be a good thing because I got some things taken care of that I had not known that needed to be taken care of. You guys know what I'm saying. Something else, too, is that you guys can also follow me on Instagram. It's my personal Instagram account. I'll probably create a second account at a later date. Make sure you guys are hitting like and commenting on those posts there so that way it helps with the algorithmic person. Let's get some more people involved. And also, guys, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Make sure you cut it on to all so that way you guys get notifications of all my videos. And let's go ahead and dive into this. So, we already know what's going on with the Canadian trucker protest, the Freedom Convoy. As I said before, a lot of these provinces and local areas are starting to drop their actual mandates, which is, by the way, the purpose of this. But this video is really designed to talk more about Justin Trudeau. You see, Justin Trudeau is doing something that I expected him to do. Right now, he's in a position of weakness, and he's begging people to go back to work. He's begging people to get the stuff back on the trucks. He's begging people to start filling the shelves to get the economy going again, while at the same time he's calling them racist and terrorists and insurrectionists and crap like that. Right? I tell you what, let's just go ahead and roll this compilation so that way you guys can kind of be reminded of what kind of man this person is.
The federal government has invoked the Emergencies Act to supplement provincial and territorial capacity to address the blockades and occupations.
A country to vilify people for exercising their democratic right, their right to protest, their right to demonstrate peacefully. I think it's terrible.
No, I think it's he's just really making a mockery out of himself more than anybody else because people have eyes.
What he's portraying is that's not where we're going, right? We're here and I've seen lots of kids around, which not cause no problems, right?
It's totally awful.
So he's a racist himself, right? There's no racism going on here.
He's said many times publicly that he supports peaceful protest, but except, I guess, when it disagrees with what he believes or what narrative that he wants people to follow. As my brother-in-law said, he needs to be a man and step up and just come out and talk to us. That's all we're asking. We're not trying to overthrow the government. We're not trying to ruin democracy. We're following democracy.
Trudeau is a real turd, okay? He's a turd in the sense that he's like this giant, he's like this great big Ken doll is what he is. There's not really much for brain in there. If he was actually smart, he would have went ahead and talked to the truckers from the start. They could have talked about this issue. He could have said something like, the truckers could have said, look, you know, if you don't end these vaccine mandates and these passports, we're just not going to deliver food anymore. He could have told them right away, and then the truckers could have, and then he could have said, okay, go right ahead. The truckers did what they did, and Trudeau probably about a week or so later probably would have came out to the negotiating table and said, look, I was wrong. Let's go ahead and get this stuff back on the shelves. But the problem is that Trudeau pissed them off. What he did was he started calling them names. Now, really quick, Bill Maher did a segment the other night on this, and I'll play this clip for you guys here in a second, and I'll explain where Bill Maher is wrong in this case and why it is that Trudeau is really just more of a clown than anything else. Let's go ahead and roll this.
But Justin Trudeau, I mean, I thought he was kind of a cool guy. Then I started to read what he said. This is a couple of weeks ago. He was, or maybe this is September, but he was talking about people who are not vaccinated. He said they don't believe in science. They're often misogynistic, often racist. No, they're not.
That was not smart of him at all.
Right. He said, but they take up space. And with that, we have to make a choice in terms of a leader as a country. Do we tolerate these people? It's like, tolerate them? Now you do sound like Hitler.
That was...
and recently he talked about them holding unacceptable views.
Wow. I'm surprised to hear that Trudeau said those things.
You didn't see the blackface? I mean, he's no, I'm kidding about that. I'm not, I mean, that was not a good...
Now, some of you guys know I have done a video on Bill Maher before, and I believe that Bill Maher is not being red-pilled. He is simply just opening his eyes and looking at what it is that he's been pushing for years, the policies he's voted for. A lot of the policies that Justin Trudeau has enacted are policies that Bill Maher would be for, if you guys know what I'm saying, if you know who he is. Now, in the previous video, I spoke about Justin Trudeau basically having a fart in his brain and not having any actual content. I mean, we're not actually having any actual empathy or being able to empathize for what the everyday person goes through, especially in the country of Canada. And in the previous video, I also mentioned that we make fun of Canadians, but I was very impressed by what they do because, you see, Canadians normally just do what they're told. They're very, very nice. They just go on about their business. They don't break any laws or anything like that right there. But then when they stood up and actually began to protest and do something about it, which, by the way, the United States take note, especially you people who live in the cities, because if a trucker convoy happened here, remember, most of our big cities, you got to take bridges to get to. New York, Boston, etc. You guys know what I'm saying. You see, if this happens, if what happens there happens here, you guys are going to be screwed beyond repair, if you guys know what I'm saying. Justin Trudeau looks more like a clown than he does Adolf Hitler. Okay, Hitler was a very, very bad, terrible man, but he had pretty much all of Germany on his side. Canada does not have this. Trudeau said he had 90% of Canadians agreed with him, but there was a recent poll that was released that showed that only 54% of Canada disagree with him on this, and they want the food back on the shelves. And, of course, they agree that they want the mandates to end. You see, people are starting to wake up. People are starting to see this stuff. And, by the way, I don't think 9% was ever a real number to begin with. That right there is sort of like if you go on Twitter and you look at blue check marks, they'll repeat the nonsense that comes out of Trudeau's mouth. A lot of this is because these liberals are worshiping him, and they're speaking in an echo chamber, and they're just watching that mindless drivel that we know as the mainstream media here in the United States. And, of course, he's trying to get the United States involved, and I'm like, okay, well, what the hell is Joe Biden going to do? Joe is not really an effective leader either. He's not exactly a strong man. I mean, he runs his mouth. He talks a lot of trash. He insults people. But at the end of the day, what the hell has he actually done? I mean, you're talking about war with Ukraine right now, but yet he pulled the actual sanctions off the Nord 2 pipeline. And right now he's trying to, I guess, negotiate through another position of weakness in that situation. Trudeau is, quite frankly, just flat out stupid. He's not very, very smart. He's speaking from a position of weakness at this moment in time. So as long as he looks weak and the truckers continue to do what they're doing, they're going to continue to be successful, if you guys know what I mean. In the previous video, I also spoke about how Trudeau, Seamus Coughlin, made a very, very good point about Trudeau not being able to empathize. And I know I mentioned this right here a second ago. He was talking about the fact that he doesn't know anybody. He's probably never been around anybody who's actually done any hard work or anything of that nature there. He's never really been around anybody who disagrees with him. People who actually, are different from him, because he's a social elite. He's one of those wealthy types that comes from the suburbs. But this right here reminds me of a president that we had here in the United States who thought the exact same of some of the people, of some of his constituents in his own nation. Let me go ahead and roll this.
And they feel so betrayed by government.
Well, it's not surprising then that they get bitter and they cling to guns or religion or antipathy towards people who aren't like them, or a way to explain their frustrations.
Of course, Barack Obama said that before going into office and the entire time that he was in office, he kind of treated most average, ordinary, everyday Americans kind of like they were scum, okay? He was always race baiting, and he was never really and truly an actual effective leader. You see, if you go into office insulting people and trying to divide them from the start, nobody's ever going to trust you, you see. But in the case of Obama, he did get reelected. The biggest reason why he got reelected is because Mitt Romney was that bad of a candidate. But you see, that's the point. If you're going into office lecturing people, lecturing them on their life, you're calling them racist, misogynistic, xenophobic, basically calling them terrorists because they disagree with you, people are not going to respect you. And after a while, even people in your own crew and on your own side, they're going to begin to want to distance themselves away from you too. And that right there is what Justin Trudeau is experiencing. He is experiencing his own people, even people who agree with him politically, are starting to distance themselves from him because Justin Trudeau is very, very weak. And he's doing all this from a position of weakness. And one more thing too, and I got to say this again. You can't live without truckers. You can't live without food. You can't live without the everyday products that truckers bring into your cities, into your neighborhoods. Cities here in the United States, you might want to change your behavior because, and I get into it all the time with a bunch of idiots, especially blue check marks, that they need us way more than we need them. If we wanted to, we could cut the bridges off in New York and not deliver a single thing to them. By the way, YouTube, I'm not advocating, I'm not doing that, I'm just stating a fact. We could do that right there, and they would be up, they would kind of be up a creek without a paddle. They would be up Shit's Creek. They would not survive, and they would start eating one another within weeks, if you guys know what I'm saying, because you got to have people of working class, you got to have the people who are willing to do the job, take the stuff to you, and you're treating them with absolute disdain. Okay, guys, with that right out of the way, let's go ahead and roll into these updates. Guys, I want to end this video, just a couple of quick updates on the channel. You guys are probably going to notice some changes. For one, I'm going to be doing a lot more sports takes in the future. The reason why is because politics can be somewhat mind-numbing. It's mind-numbing right now. As a matter of fact, I have a video that I'm going to be working on tonight. I'm going to go ahead and do all the camera work for with me, and then I'm going to download the clips and edit and everything tomorrow and release it tomorrow afternoon after this video here. Of course, I'm talking about this recent scrum between Heavy Duty Country and Ryan Upchurch. And one of the themes of that video that I want to get across, and one of the reasons why I think that situation has blown up the way it has, is because of politics. Now, guys, I am a guy who is definitely on the right. I'm a guy who definitely talks about this stuff. I'm a guy who definitely tries to give people this information so that way they can have an idea of what to expect. I'm not going to stop doing that. However, there's going to be a lot less political takes. I'm going to lean more into culture. The reason why is because culture is synonymous with everything that's going on today. And politics, quite frankly, can be completely mind-numbing. I myself have gotten to the point where I'm like, man, I don't even want to talk about that. Also, something else, too, about this. The YouTube algorithm really doesn't like certain forms of speech. Even left-wingers are getting hit, too. Even channels like Jimmy Dore and Secular Talk, guys on the left, they're getting hit with algorithmic issues as well. And see, the thing is this right here. YouTube has never really and truly rewarded people, or they've stopped rewarding people for that content. Now, let me give you an example of what I mean. If you guys watch Styx Hexenhammer, for example, Styx. I mean, I like Styx. I wake up in the morning and watch Styx. Very, very smart guy. I don't agree with him on everything, but he does a very, very good job of giving you common sense analysis on things and letting you know what's going to happen. And oftentimes, he's absolutely 100% correct. Same thing with Razor Fist. I watch him too, and he's experiencing a bit of an algorithmic issue himself. But Styx and Razor, they started doing their YouTube videos back in like 2008, 2009 timeframe, and YouTube algorithm treated commentators a lot better at that time. So they were able to actually go ahead, and they did a great job of getting a heavy subscriber base for that type of content. I kind of rolled into it not thinking about it, and, you know, I've gotten to the point I'm thinking about, I'm like, you know, I got 2 YouTube channels, and I enjoy doing this content, but maybe I should just create a straight politics channel and put it on Rumble where the type of stuff is actually rewarded. And maybe I should stick to sports, prepping, military issues, and cultural issues. And that's going to be sort of the theme into that next video that I'm going to be releasing tomorrow. So if you notice a lot less political takes here in the future, this is the reason why. And I'll probably bring it up in other videos as well. Once again, guys, make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Hit the notification bell, set it to all. You can follow me on Facebook. You can follow me on Twitter. You can follow me on Instagram. Make sure you guys give me your thoughts in the comments. If you don't agree, it's okay. Just be professional, and I will see you guys later.
I suddenly remembered my Charlemagne. Let my armies be the rocks and the trees and the birds in the sky.